Because I still want to figure this out. What I'm missing.
I have got a handout for you, so you don't need to get this. I'm putting this up here on behalf of the Hangout. Folks, if you're already on the Hangout and you want to get a copy of the seminar notes, look at the bottom of the screen and you can see the address for getting them. It's in Google Drive, so you need to be logged into Google, those of you that are on the Hangout, and you should be able to download the notes.
We're going to put it in the chat.
All right, Suze, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah.
Get started.
Well, thank you for coming. Good turnout. Wonderful. See if I'm on the... We have several people coming through Google Hangouts, and we're trying to record as well. So if you know people who weren't here today, I will get a link out. It's different from this link. So my name is Suze. I'm with Equipping for a Ministry, if you haven't met me yet. And our speaker is Roger Van from Agape, UK. I learned it's not agape, it's agape, to pronounce properly. So he's here from Birmingham, England, to speak to you today about some research he's done. And he works on the mystory.me website that's very popular in Europe right now, having students share their story, and then they use that video and a website presentation to share their faith with their friends. That's one of his main things he's doing. So this seminar was given several places, but he's only just going to run through it for you here. We can't really get into discussion in order for him to cover it all. So we'll let him get started.
Thank you, Suze. Good morning. You can tell right away I'm not originally from Birmingham, England. I'm with Cru, have been for the last 48 years. We've been overseas for the last 35 years. And I think probably my claim to fame is that I have known Judy Douglas longer than anyone at Lake Hart, including Bonnet. We were students together in Cru at the University of Texas, back shortly before the crust of the earth hardened. I think I need to get the elephant in the room out in the open. You're probably thinking you're in the most incongruous situation you can imagine, looking at someone my age about to tell you about Facebook, all right? The first time I ever did the seminar was in Toulouse, France, and afterwards a student came up and said to me, Roger, you're not exactly the typical Facebook user, are you? To which I smiled and said, yes, that's the most polite way that it's been expressed. Of course, there are many ways it hasn't been expressed that are not so polite. All I've got to say is give me an hour and maybe an old dog can teach you new tricks. All right, fair enough? Thank you. The notes that you'll see and the text and the handouts you'll get are some British English, some American English. I do the seminar on both sides of the pond, so don't worry if you think some words have been misspelled. I do want to say hi to those of you joining on Google Hangout, and if you want a copy of the notes, you have been given in the comments or the text how to get to them. In the last decade, digital technology has literally transformed the world you and I live in. Here's just an example of how it's true. 2005, this is St. Peter's Square, where Pope John Paul's funeral was taking place. 8 years later, in an identical place, the world welcomed Pope Francis. Look at the difference in these two photos. There are new words being added to the English language because of the modern technology. Selfie is not a new word anymore. It's actually in the dictionary. We've all used it. But maybe nomophobia is not quite so familiar. Are you familiar with nomophobia? I'll explain it. It's the fear of leaving the house without your mobile phone in your pocket. Actually, there is some new news that you probably haven't heard. YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook are merging. They're going to call it YouTwitface. Right now, the number of active users on Facebook is equal to the population of the second largest country in the world, India. 1.2 something billion people using Facebook. In the US, it's equally divided, 50-50, male-female. It is true that there has been a slight drop-off indicated in 2014 in the use of Facebook in the 16 to 25-year-old demographic. I think mainly because Facebook is losing its cool factor. But it is still by far the most dominant social media platform. The title of my seminar, Making the Most of Facebook as a Follower of Jesus, indicates a bit of the journey I've been on. I've been active on Facebook for 8 years, but 4 years ago, I was in some kind of digital strategies conference because that's the team I work on in the UK. And Ken Cochran made an interesting challenge. He said, whatever you're doing on social media, you should be strategic and intentional. And I stopped and thought, I'm not that strategic or intentional. I'm very random, actually. And here I am, a Christian worker. And that began a journey of research for me to find out, well, what would that mean to be strategic and intentional as a follower of Jesus using Facebook? The seminar that I put together and have done in a number of countries now is a result of the research and actually my own sorting it out. So the examples I'm using today are all obviously from my life. They won't all transfer. I want you to get the principles, not the little examples of what I'm talking about, and see if it might give you ways of making the most of Facebook as a follower of Jesus. The verse that inspired the title for the seminar is this one from Colossians 4:5. Live wisely among those who are not believers and make the most of every opportunity. Shouldn't this be true in our online lives as well as our offline lives in our witness for Christ? If Jesus started his ministry in 2015, would he be on Facebook? I think he would. Why? Because that's where the people are that he wants to connect with, to talk about the kingdom. Here's what he said in Matthew 9. Who needs a doctor, the healthy or the sick? Go figure out what Scripture says. I'm after mercy, not religion. I'm here to invite outsiders, not coddle insiders. That is, I think, the thing that convinced me the most, that in terms of my intentionality toward Facebook, I needed to be outsider focused. Because Jesus actually asked me to. As the Father has sent me, he said to his disciples, so send I you. As a part of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus spoke directly to his followers with these words. This is from the Message. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here to be salt, seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth. If you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness? You're here to be light, bringing out God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? Now that I put you on a hill, on a light stand, shine. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open up to God. I've got a handout for you, and Susan, maybe a couple of others could help. They're right on this table, and they're little packets of 4. And there's some tables that Mike, could you get the extras? Any table that doesn't, Mike, any table that doesn't have one, right here, Mike. Just make sure their extras are wherever they're needed. Sure. Like I say, there are 4 per table, and then raise your hand, and Mike will come around with the extra copy. All right, here are the 4 questions I'd like to answer in our 50 plus minutes. How do I want to be known on Facebook? How can I use Facebook strategically? How can I add value through my posts? And how can I engage well with my Facebook friends? The material I'm giving you is not a talk outline. If you think of something you want to write or a note turned over on the back of your space, just scribble it out yourself. All right. Let's look at this whole area of being known first. How do I want to be known on Facebook? Obviously, this question immediately brings up the whole issue of privacy settings. I'm not going to deal with privacy settings, but I'm going to give you links to 4 excellent articles that talk about privacy settings, including the latest that Facebook has put out on the subject. It's a very helpful tutorial. So if any of you are having little niggles about how public you want to be, that's a great place to go. I have decided to be quite public with my profile page, and you'll see why in a minute. So how do you want to be known? What do you want to look like on Facebook? Do you realize your Facebook profile and your timeline actually tell a story about you? If you look at it, it's called a timeline. Is your relationship with God actually part of the story that you're telling on Facebook? How do you want to be known, especially to outsiders? Remember, Jesus said he was here to invite outsiders into the kingdom of God. So maybe Paul's ministry and life might give us 2 excellent principles here. You know, when Paul first encountered the risen Christ, he was given his own great commission by Ananias. And he said, the Lord said to him, you shall be a witness for him to everyone. Let me just point out what I think are 2 principles that Paul used that are applicable here. First is finding common ground. 1 Corinthians 9, a passage we're all familiar with, Paul writes this, when I'm with the Gentiles, I don't follow the Jewish laws. I too live apart from the laws so I can bring them to Christ. When I'm with those who are weak, I share their weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Christ. I try to find common ground with everyone, doing everything I can to save some, end quote. How do you find common ground with your Facebook friends? I mean, seriously, what are some thoughts that you have? What are things that you do that you feel connect well, that find common ground with people? Any suggestions?
Celebration.
Say it again.
Celebration.
Celebrating, yeah, celebrating the highs and perhaps the lows of your life. What's really going on in my life? All right, what else? I find the one that is most often used and most helpful is humor. I love Facebook posts that are humorous. Now, this one, the Brits get it right away. Americans have to think about it a little bit more. Also, sharing things that are of common interest or common question. A referendum in the UK about whether Scotland would vote to be independent or not. And so many people were saying, Scotland, England, UK, Great Britain, British Isles, who fits where? I posted this. A lot of people said, on both sides of the Atlantic, this was really helpful. Common ground. Passing through New York Liberty Airport today, I noticed that Ronald McDonald had become an enthusiastic Christian. Just trying to be humorous in a way that perhaps the not yet Christian could at least chuckle at. And talking about kids, grandkids, whatever, obviously for some people that's common ground. Here's my granddaughter chilling in Crete. Throwback Thursday. A lot of people have been using that on Facebook, finding a photo of yourself from years ago, perhaps in your awkward, teen years, and posting it on Thursday. Again, what are common peeves that Facebook people are facing? This is one. I don't know who you are, but if I get Candy Crush Saga requests one more time, I will find you and I will kill you. Good old Liam. And again, humor. Did I say humor was a good common ground? Jesus clears the temple. What a guy. Here's Kanye West. Obviously, this is Kanye East. De Niro, this would have to be DeFaro. Reese Witherspoon, Reese without her spoon. Who is this? Who is this?
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray. You got it. All right. Let me ask you to take just a minute. There's a little box in the top left of your sheet. Describe in just a few phrases, how would you like to be known on Facebook? How do you want to be known? Just, it's your own thoughts, but just write down a couple of phrases for a moment there. Okay, someone who's got something written, do you mind just calling it out? What did you write, a phrase? Yeah, someone to the side of the room. Anyone?
Follower of Christ.
Follower of Christ, great, okay. Someone else?
Living wholeheartedly.
Say it.
Living wholeheartedly.
Living wholeheartedly, all right. Someone else?
Encouraging.
Encouraging, good, good. Yeah, this is what I'm getting at. Yes, say it again.
Respectful.
Respectful. Interesting, here's what I wrote. It'll resonate with some of you. I wrote, not religiously weird, good sense of humor, loves his family, gracious and positive, takes his Christian faith seriously, and an all-around interesting person. That's how I want to be known on Facebook. But I think we need to be careful that we don't get in this thing called image crafting. Image crafting is projecting something that's not the real you, being a phantom person almost. This great guy who obviously drives his white van around selling banners, it's a little image crafting. Folks, this is just one van. There is no sports car. It's painted on. Be real. Don't use Facebook for subtle bragging. John Ruskin said, when a man is wrapped up in himself, he makes a pretty small package. Here's a second principle from Paul's ministry. Remember who you represent. See, Paul remembered who he represented, and he exhorted followers of Jesus to do the same. He asked us to be ambassadors for Christ, to be particular. So when it comes to being an ambassador or being salt and light, how do we come across? I think there is two tendencies that I've observed among a lot of Christian friends of mine. The first tendency, I'm going to use the salt metaphor here, is that we are literally dumping. Everything we post is about praise Jesus for that, or God answered prayer for this, or Bible verse of the day that. It's sort of dumping salt. And I don't think that's how salt's intended to be used. But there is another tendency I see among some of my Christians on Facebook, and that's they're clogged. If I looked at their timeline for, say, the last 6 months, and if I didn't know already they were a follower of Jesus, you know what? I wouldn't be able to tell it by looking at what they've been posting for 6 months. I mean, I don't try to just constantly do stuff that is gospel oriented at all. Music videos I love, funny videos, my grandkids, places I'm visiting, seminars I'm leading. There's a lot of variety in things I post, but among them are things that I hope include salt and light posts. Let me just give you a few examples. At Christmas, I always post something that I hope just gets people thinking a little bit. This was last Christmas. He changed the world, and my text was, and he changed me. Merry Christmas. This was just a photo that came up on someone's post a couple of years ago. I grabbed the photo, not whatever they said, and here's what I wrote. 4 thoughts come to my mind when I saw this post from a Facebook friend. 1, everyone tries to keep their distance. 2, it's impossible to ignore his presence. 3, we're all joining him when the bus with our number pulls up. And 4, we each have a choice as to our destination. Just a little salt. This is, I don't post posters very often. This is one I did like. In the World Cup, Tim Howard, who plays for a UK team, Everton, was the goalkeeper for Team USA, and he did a fantastic job if you watched any of the World Cup USA games. So right after the World Cup, someone else posted this, and I grabbed it. And Tim is basically giving a 2-minute testimony here when he was the name talked about all over the USA, among soccer fans at least. Obviously, a lot of us have done this. We've taken the Arabic letter for N, for Nazarene, and we have embraced solidarity with the many Christians being martyred by ISIS in Iraq. A friend of mine in the Netherlands posted this from iamsecond.com. It's a great testimony website. He says, I used to be such a Korn fan. Now he's a brother. I'm expecting awesome worship in heaven with guys like this showing up. I like that post. You know, I'm not a Korn fan, but if some people are, I bet they go straight to the testimony of Brian Welch. This one I did just last November. Famous actor Matthew McConaughey takes a bold stand for biblical marriage. And I quoted exactly what he said so people didn't have to go to the article. I had more people like this and more people share this than anything I posted recently. I think it's the whole celebrity factor. I don't know. But a lot of people were sharing it. Live wisely among those who are not yet believers. Make the most of every opportunity. Let me ask you to just think for a minute. I'm not going to give you a lot of time, but if you can mentally review your timeline for the last 6 months, where would you put yourself on, you see the little line there at the top left, top right corner? From clogged on one end to dumping on the other, where would you put your initial along that line if it was based on your timeline, your post from the last 6 months? Just think about that for a minute yourself. All right, let's move on. Your posts, your profile, all parts of your Facebook settings should not only reveal who you are, but it should reveal whose you are. I have tried to think, what would this mean for me? How can I identify myself appropriately on my profile? And I've come up with two things. If you're familiar with your profile, you'll notice there's a word "more" right up here. I don't know if you've ever clicked on that word or not, but if you do, it will bring a drop-down menu that will give you a chance to go to Notes. Notes is basically just a text box that you can put text or photo or both in. So a couple of years ago, I decided to put my story in Notes. And then I arranged it so that it's right below the friends, photos, and right down here is Notes. And that's what it looks like. 400 words written in a casual, outsider-friendly way. Not that everyone will read it, but guess what? The last thing you do when you finish composing whatever you put in Notes is you click Post. And then your Facebook friend world can see your story. There's one more thing over in About. If you look down About, there's a chance to say what your religious views are. I decided mine was, there is a God and I'm not him. You see, I think we can think of ways to show who we are and whose we are intentionally and strategically on Facebook. All right, that's being known. Let's move on to the second topic. How can we use Facebook strategically? Not sure what happened here. I'm going to have to try to get this back. Let's see. Excuse me. It takes, this crazy thing takes just a minute to load. All right, let's look at some strategic ways to use Facebook. It's not a toy. I think we need to engage with it seriously, and Facebook is not helping us in this regard, by the way. First, I would encourage you to add friends the way Jesus did. Let me give you a quote here that I think is very insightful. Friending someone is creating the context for deepening the connection. It's a path to forging a deeper relationship by quite literally stepping into another person's world and touching their life, which is just what Jesus did, end quote. See, my theory is that most Christians are not sensitive about being salt and light in their posts because they just don't have that many non-Christian friends. It's just not been a big factor in how they friend people. I think that there is a way that we can be deliberate about this. If you look in your notes, I've given you a little diagram called my sphere of influence. Would you take just a moment and just think, who are not yet Christians that I know in some of these different categories? There's 8 possible ones. Just write a few first names. Whoever, you don't know if they're on Facebook or not, that's fine. Just throw a few first names up there in some of those categories. This is just to get you started. I hope you'll take these notes away and actually give the time and thought to this. It's amazing the names I came up with when I went through this exercise. One obvious group was historical friends. And I actually went to the sort of Facebook page newsletter from my high school graduating class. And I'm now friends on Facebook with about 10 not yet Christian friends from my graduating class that I would have never thought about. Well, why not? I tell you what will happen if you ask some not yet Christian friend whose name you see on here. They'll either say, if you say, are you on Facebook? 2 answers, yes or no. And if they say yes, say, well, why don't we be friends? And I have never had anyone say, no, I don't think so. Of course, of course. Facebook is making it easier for us as well. Just recently, they've come up with, you notice under the first post, there are people you may know, and there's this long string of, obviously most of those I know are Christians because they're connected with Christian friends who are on Facebook. But every now and then I come across a non-Christian friend, a person that I invite to be my Facebook friend. Jesus gives us a great example. In Luke 15, he said this story, he gave this story. Let me ask you a question. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others on the hill and go out and search for the one that is lost? And if he finds it, I tell you the truth, he will rejoice more over it than over the 99 that didn't wander away. In the same way, is it not my Heavenly Father's will that even one of these little ones should perish? I have started trying to get in my mind what I call the 99-1 principle when it comes to Facebook. The 99-1. Am I aiming toward and collecting the friends among the 99, or am I thinking about the one and being intentional in the way I look for friends and do posts? The look on Jesus' face in this painting says it all. Leslie Cheeseman's a friend of mine in the UK. She and Paul decided to put the story of their first year of marriage on the My Story website, which Susan has mentioned briefly. And it's quite a story. It's not what you would expect. And after they put their story on the website, they simply put on F, and it went out to all their Facebook friends. She got hundreds of likes and many, many comments. One comment she got was from a Muslim woman living next door to her. This was amazing. The Muslim woman was talking about Leslie's story about God because it was in the middle of the story. But that's not amazing to me. The amazing thing to me is that Leslie intentionally, about 6-8 months before, when she ran into her neighbor out in the street, said, hey, are you on Facebook? Yes, I am. Why don't we be friends? Sure. And because of that initiative, the woman was exposed to Leslie's testimony. Add friends like Jesus would. A second thing, create a special friends list. How many of you are familiar with special friends lists? Probably in this group. Quite a few. Okay. Facebook makes it possible for you to segment your friends and into subcategories. The friends do not know this at all, but you know it, and it's a way of managing either what you post or what you read. It's very helpful. For instance, I have 3 special friends groups: ministry partners, family, and a group I call Salt and Light. I have put those who are not yet Christians among my Facebook friends in Salt and Light. Not because I post to them. I don't do anything just to them. But if I'm just getting overwhelmed with my news feed, every now and then I go to the Salt and Light just to catch up on what's happening in the lives of these people supposedly I'm trying to reach and influence for Christ. And again, the 99-1 principle here. I do that because you can do it with a special friends list. If you'll look on the second page of your notes at the top, there are detailed instructions on how to set up a special friends list. If you want to use Facebook strategically, let me encourage you to have a special friends list. Whether you call it salt and light or something else, doesn't matter. It's showing intentionality about being salt and light online. All right. Yes,
Are you entertaining questions?
I will at the end. I want to make sure that we don't overrun the lunch hour, and then I will. Adjust your news feed. Are you aware that Facebook decides whose posts you see? It's not your decision. Facebook, using their algorithm, will tell you which posts they think you want to see. It's ridiculous. It's called top stories. And by default, they're only showing you the top stories of your friends. You can go in and change it to most recent. And then it will simply be in over time, whoever's posting, you see it. It's amazing what I missed in terms of posts because I didn't realize this for a while. By the way, Facebook will go back and change it back to top stories. So check it every now and then to make sure your setting is on most recent. Again, same page, there's an illustration to remind you about this. There's another thing you can now do. This is fairly new in Facebook. You can unfollow someone, which is not the same as unfriending them. They are still your friend. They do not know it, but their post will not show up in your news feed. I've had to unfriend a number of people just because it's not posts that we're never going to connect, relate. It's not people I know, and this has helped clean up my news feed quite a bit. So these two things will really help you. And then be noticeable. There are two things that will make your posts noticeable. The first is photos. Photos is the secret sauce of Facebook. Some research was done in 2012, and if you have a photo, you're 53% more likely to generate likes and 104% more likely to generate comments than if it is just text. Use photos. Have you noticed in all of the examples I've given you, I have never put just text in a post. There's another thing to do when you do put your text up. Don't let it go over 140 characters or your readership plummets. Short, sharp, sweet. That's about 35 words. Again, Facebook has done the research and they're saying this is what people will stay with or what they'll just let pass by as they're scrolling down. All right, and one more, find the right balance. What do I mean by that? A lot of people think of Facebook as a way to do conversation. They want interaction. They want to like this and comment on that and get comments back, and their total focus is on things that deal with conversation. Other people are much more into content. They love to share the videos and the blog articles and the little quizzes and this and that. And neither are wrong, but I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I am looking to find a balance that will connect. My goal is connecting with people, and that will involve conversation and it will involve content, but in such a way that I'm not just slavishly in one camp or the other. Live wisely among those who are not believers. Make the most of every opportunity. I hope these little strategic tips will help you make the most of opportunities that you'll have on Facebook. All right, let's look at number 3. How can we add value to our posts? Well, before I go to that one, let me ask you, what is it that you find annoying about Facebook posts that you receive on your newsfeed? Think about what you find annoying. Maybe this photo will help sort of jog your memory. Okay, what do you find annoying? Give me some feedback. Yes.
Posts that are jumping on the bandwagon and something that's really not true.
Yes, yeah. Passing on urban legends, urban myths. Yes. The latest one, by the way, is my personal Facebook privacy contract. Rubbish, rubbish. Go to Snopes.com. You'll find it's an urban legend. Don't pass these things on. Thank you. Other things that you find annoying. Yes.
If you love somebody, you will say.
Oh yeah, yeah. Guilt trip. If you love someone, you'll pass this on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's some of the things that annoy me. Trivial updates. And by the way, I hate pictures of food. I have never seen a good picture of someone's meal. Never. Advertising. You know, the Candy Crush thing. You know, being self-focused. Some people, you can just tell they're just. It's all about me. You know. Predictable post, you know, got up tired again this morning, you know, whatever. You know. Passing on urban myths, we've talked about that, a game request. When they post a photo without any kind of comment, you know, who are these people? Where are you? What's going on here? No, it's just a photo. You know. Or a guessing game, you know, oh, I can't believe that happened. Yes. I mean, don't be an annoying friend on Facebook. All right, let's look under value. We want to talk about content for a few minutes here. These are some of my content posts, just a few. This was a recent one, very timely. A lot of people, especially in Europe, were posting, you know, I am Charlie because of the Paris massacre. Breakpoint.com had an excellent article on the Christian view of this whole thing. I loved it, and I am not Charlie, I'm a Christian. And the article was very good. I post quotes when I find things that trigger good thoughts. Now, here's a quote that's hard to forget. Author Anne Lamott says in her book, Traveling Mercies, not forgiving is like drinking rat poison and then waiting for the rat to die, end quote. Who do you need to forgive? I post videos. The one that I think we're most familiar with, that is an excellent video summarizing the gospel, is Falling Plates. There are others. In your notes, I am giving you a list of 12 of what I think are the best short gospel-oriented videos on the internet. You'll see them. I mean, you don't have to do anything with it. I'll explain later, but on the back of page 1, on the back of page 1, right in the middle, short gospel-related videos to share on Facebook. But you see I put a double star by Falling Plates, and it's not just because Howard's in the room. The Poached Egg is a fantastic website. It has got loads of apologetics articles, things dealing with Christian worldview issues. You can like their page, and then you'll get it in your news feed. I mean, it's a lot. But every now and then there's something really good that I turn around and post on my Facebook timeline. Again, I'll give you a link to Poached Egg in a minute. Relevant Magazine is really aimed at the 20s and 30s crowd. And it's Christian, it's good, but they write sensitively. And some of the articles are more outsider-friendly than others. This is one I found a couple of years ago that I thought was really relevant. Yes. So I took it to post. Videos, here was a very good debate between an atheist and a Christian, but it really had sort of a twist in the end. Very interesting. So I put it up with my own comment about it. When I post videos, I always say how long it is in my comment, because people tend not to go to videos that, oh, yeah. You say, here's a great 2-minute X or 3-minute Y or something. So say how long it is. Yes, He is a great website that has aggregated hundreds and hundreds of videos. Some are a bit too Christian as far as I'm concerned, but there are a number of these that are great seeker-sensitive type short videos. So again, I'll give you a link to Yes, He Is. It's a great website. This has nothing to do with Christianity. I happen to love dogs, and I actually don't like cats. And so I posted an article, a video actually, of a very new Olympic event called cat curling. And it's amazing. You know, the cat's in a ball, and you just push it down the ice and bang into the little things at the end. Okay, sorry. Not everyone thought it was funny. I liked it. Okay, now about your notes. If you will look at the top here, you'll see this URL, the FD Notes. This is in a folder in Google Drive. And what I've given you in Google Drive is basically everything you see on this page. All of the articles, and wherever you see just titles, I've given you the links, the actual hyperlink to the website or the video or the whatever. So if you go into Google and then to Google Drive, you will find the folder called FD Notes. So everything that I am talking about here, referring to, is accessible. Also, the slides that you're seeing, you can get from the folder as well. All right, that's adding value. One last topic, engaging well. How can we engage well on Facebook? I think we want to look at the conversation side of this equation now for a few minutes. Here's one way I tried to engage well. I posted a picture of my 4-day-old granddaughter, my newest granddaughter, and I said, captions requested. And people gave me their captions for this photo. Here was the winning caption. Why does my hairstyle have to look like Grandpa? The reality is that everyone wants to be liked. It is a human need that we have. Facebook makes it possible, at least on a somewhat superficial level, to like people. But let's consider, how can we engage with our not yet Christian Facebook friends that shows we like them, actually? There are a number of ways to engage on Facebook. I'm not going to tell you what you already know. You can like, you can comment, you can repost a friend's update, you can tag them in a photograph, you can post on a friend's timeline, you can send them a private message. But there is one way that we can engage that I think we're overlooking, and that is birthday messages. If you have a not yet Christian friend whose birthday pops up on your Facebook newsfeed, what a thoughtful thing to just take a minute and send a comment wishing them a happy birthday with just an extra little personal note connected to it somehow. You know, yes, they'll get birthday greetings from a wide variety of people, but maybe they didn't expect to hear from you. Again, it's just a small way to engage well. A few tips for engaging. Focus on the personal angle. If you noticed on my slides, I'm always making up my personal comment, question about whatever it is that people are interested in people. So I try to be personal about the things I post. I think you see just from the sample I put out there that I tend to take a light touch. I don't get heavy-handed. I don't get negative. And the next one some of you may disagree with, but I personally have decided to avoid polarizing topics. I love getting posts from people about politics. I love it. I've got strong political views. I've just decided that I'm not going to try to stir that into the delicate mix of my not yet Christian friends who I'm trying to build a foundation with on Facebook. There was a book written a few years ago by a lady named Toni Birdsong. And by the way, Toni Birdsong is on Google Hangout. So Toni, I want to give you a shout out. say thank you for writing the book and thank you for joining us today. But in her book, Sticky Jesus, which is all about how to use social media properly as a Christian, she wrote this: people gravitate toward those who are willing to inspire, affirm, and celebrate the highs and lows of life alongside them. Superficial Facebook friends are rarely invited to the celebration or pity party. Reach out, infuse light and salt into the life experiences of others. Just a few tips on connecting well. If you're taking notes or care to, we're now on the last page of your notes. The first is pray. The one reason I use that Salt and Light Special Friends group is that when I go to it, I'm reminded I should be praying for my non-Christian Facebook friends. And they're all there because in that special list, all I see are the posts from them. Pray for people. Listen in a way that gets below the surface, where you are not hearing the words, but sometimes the feelings behind the words. Show empathy in the way you respond. Someone can post something, you know, I can't believe such and such happened, whatever, bad experience. That's not the time in your comment to say, I know just how you felt when something similar to that happened to me. That's just putting the attention back on you. Why not say, ouch, I bet that hurt. Encourage people in the way you make a comment. I think one of the most encouraging ways to comment is not to make a statement, but to ask a question. So how did you like the cruise? What was your highlight of the cruise that they just posted a photo about? So I'm asking a question to engage them, to show interest, not just saying, oh, nice ship or boat or whatever. Go deeper. Sometimes it's appropriate to go to private message and to make a comment or ask a question or say, do you mind if I pray with you about this? It sounds like you're really hurting in this situation. But I would do that in private message with not yet Christians, not on the public comment area. I think we just need to accept that when it comes to the gospel ministry, it's not a one click with Facebook or anything. When I was doing my research for this whole concept, I came across a blog about 3 years ago that really encapsulated everything that I would want to say to you. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to let the man speak for himself. Here's what he said. We need to get beyond the tendency of linear thinking as Christians who want to proclaim the gospel. The key points of linear thinking are cause and effect. You cause something to happen, like sharing the gospel, and it has an effect, and you notice the effect. But this doesn't happen on Facebook. It is unpredictable and chaotic. Facebook is more like standing in a gentle rain. In time, people get wet. For one person, it takes many drops. Think of your non-Christian friend. Every Salt and Light post he or she receives from a Christian is a drop of rain. No one raindrop carries a lot of impact. The message emerges over time as themes, images, personal comments, etc., begin to resonate with him or her. You can see why Christians who think in a linear way might find Facebook so unhelpful as a way to proclaim the gospel. That really helped me. And it helped me think strategically and not expect it to just be magic. From Sticky Jesus, let me just give you 4 of Tony's key points. Facebook is not the place to try to win a debate, but to provoke thought. People don't want to be talked to, they want to be engaged with. People listen and respond to those they trust. And the last one, and I think most important, being other-centered is not natural or easy. Everything that I've said to you this morning is not something that has come natural. I've had to think, I've had to stop, I've had to analyze, because this is just not the natural way I and my circle of Christian colleagues and friends and church members would naturally do things. And I want to provoke you to start thinking other-centered about your Facebook ministry. The slide that says it all, and this is my summary: every touch leaves a trace. How are you touching lives? Through what you post on Facebook, through who you are on Facebook, through showing whose you are on Facebook. How do you want to be known? Are there things that you can start doing in terms of Facebook settings that will make it more strategic for what you want to do? Have you thought of how you can add value and where you're going to find the content that will add value? And then are you being particularly prayerful and sensitive about the way you engage in replying, commenting, birthdays, whatever, from people on Facebook? I hope the seminar has been helpful to you. I hope this old dog has in fact taught you a few new tricks. And if you will please share this, I would appreciate it very much. One reason I wanted to come to Lake Hart today was to expose you through Seuss and her network to this seminar. I'm not the one that's going to carry something like this on, but I pray that the Lord might raise up individuals or ministries that would like to take this, adapt it, make it their own, put it into their personal discipleship with the Christians that you work with, put it into a broader context, because I think this is part of what it means to be a way of life witness in the 21st century. So I want to thank you very much for coming and taking the time. So what now? Well, when you stop and think about it, Facebook is one product among very few that has no strapline. Have you noticed that? There is no little motto like Nike, just do it. Facebook doesn't have one. So I've given Facebook one, all right? So here is my strapline for Facebook. Sharing life. That's what, if I were the Facebook guys, I would put as the strapline for ads. But I would put it with a capital L, because that's what I'm all about. And this is what you're all about, sharing life with a capital. Could you take just a moment? We've just got about 1 minute left. Would you just put a few notes down on the bottom of the last page? What has resonated with you? Just grab a few things while it's fresh in your mind, and just note it there that you think, I need to check into this, I need to try that. Please at least put on your notes, go to the Google Drive folder and look through the material, the articles, the stuff that Roger's linked to. All right, it is 1 o'clock. Our time is up. Let me just close with a passage from Psalm 19. May the words of my mouth and my tweets, posts, status updates, comments, and shares, and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight. O Lord, my strength and my provider. Amen. Thank you very much. Feel free to leave. Seminar's over, but I'm available.